Hey friends, my name is Steve Guttenberg and I am the audiophiliac. And I'm going to talk about using words to describe sound, which is sort of my job description. And I'm going to try to make some connection to people who talk about food and use words to describe what food tastes like. It's a poor substitute to actually tasting food, right? So we share that conceptual problem. At the end of this little run, I'm going to do a music review. But, you know, I was a huge fan of Anthony Bourdain. I mean, his way with words was extraordinary. His delivery, his narration, his traveling all over the world, eating food, talking to people. It was really, really incredible. And sometimes I'd sit there with a pad and I would write down words that he used because I thought the way he describes it. I mean, my favorite of all time Anthony Bourdain thing was when he used to say something like, "Oh, this is like having a party in my mouth." I thought, that's great. And I actually transposed that to be a party for my ears. So, but you know, a lot of times he would chomp into something and then he'd say, that's good. And that really does sum it up, right? I mean, the gradations of good between like chomping into a cheeseburger and saying, that's good, or being in like one of the great restaurants in Paris and saying, that's good. They're not really the same thing, you know, but they both are pleasure and they feel really good and taste really good and get your senses going. But when you basically sum it up and it becomes, that's good, it does communicate what's going on in the party in his mouth. So, I mean, Guy Fieri on his show, which I'm not a huge fan of, but Diners, Drive-In, and Dives, he does the same thing. He'll be in the kitchen, they've made this thing, and he puts it in his mouth, and he chomps, and he rolls back his head, and he said, that's good. And then he'll say something, oh, I taste the cilantro, I taste the garlic. Yeah, but the that's good. Yeah, it works, right? It communicates the intention. Now, I can't do the equivalent. I can't listen to something and then say, wow, that's good. That doesn't work nearly as well. So I have to use other words like transparency. So transparency, to recap for the people out there who don't know what that means, transparency for me means you're hearing sound through, let's say, a transparent window back to the original event, to the original recording session. You're hearing through the microphones and the cables and the amplifiers and all the electronics, and all of that's disappeared, and now you're hearing the sound as it was. Or something you imagined to be what the sound, what it was. That works, sort of, right? And I use words like soundstage, which describes the arrangement of the instruments in space, like the drums are behind the clarinet, and to the right of that guy is a guy playing tambourine, and you hear him over there, and you can hear the sound of the tambourine reflecting off of the side wall. That's what soundstage is. It's a 3D thing. It's not just stereo left to right. It is it's a 3D experience at its best when everything is working. Or use words like bass definition. So bass can be either soft and mushy or really tight where you hear each individual note, the texture of it, the body of, if it's an acoustic bass, the big wood instrument, the sound, filling that instrument and coming out. That's what bass definition is hopefully referring to. So, and many other words, but those are my weapons, so to speak. That's what I'm using. That's all I got is words. You can't see my face rolling back and saying, oh my God, it sounds incredible. That doesn't happen in print all that efficiently. So I got to use words. But especially Anthony Bourdain, man, he did it. I mean, it just seems so natural. I mean, I'm sure a lot of that was edited and thought over, and he did narration, which he might have done, 12 different times or 100 different times for a given piece of video that they shot until he got exactly what he wanted. I imagine that's how it went down. So though he made it look easy, I'm sure a lot of work went into that. But in the end, it was that moment where he went back and said, that is good. It did the job. So, you know, some people, here we are in 2018, are using microphones to record the sound of speakers in a room. And though some may say, yes, it's imperfect, but it's better than not hearing it at all, I disagree. I think it is, well, I agree that it's imperfect, but I agree that it's not better than hearing it at all. Because first of all, step back a second. You're hearing the sound in a room, and you're hearing it in stereo as opposed to hearing the room around you. So the room sound and the sound coming out of the speakers is now flattened into one thing. But worse yet, you're hearing it through a cheap microphone, a $100 microphone, a $200 microphone, through a really questionable microphone preamp. And it's hardly ideally placed to actually capture the sound in the room. I mean, the reviewer goes into the room, plops himself down in the chair, they play music. I'm sorry I'm raining on other people's parades, including some of my friends, but I refuse to jump on that bandwagon and record the sound of my room to show you what it sounds like. That's just not going to happen. I just think it's really misleading. And looking at the back of my head when I'm listening to music, maybe I could do that. I could listen to music and just sort of shake my head and be in ecstasy. Maybe that's what it would be for. But actually, no one's ever done that. So maybe I need to, because I can show you what the ecstasy of what my job is like from day to day. Maybe that's what I need to do. Anyway, no, just kidding. No, I'm not going to make recordings of the sound of my room or the sound of me at a show or in a dealer's showroom listening to something. I just, I don't get it. But today, the music review is this album here. It's from 2010 by a guy named Tom Jones. And what a great name for a record. Praise and Blame. It's kind of a gospel-y, God-fearing vibe to it. But, you know, the thing is, it's 2010. Tom Jones is still with us. But in 2010, he was no youngster. But he could sing. He could belt them out. He could sing ballads. He's just a great communicator. He really is, and always has been. I mean, listen to, you know, What's New Pussycat. He had this power. He felt like he didn't need a microphone. He was so powerful, he would just get to you without the microphone. So anyway, this record from 2010, it's with a small band in a small studio, and it just feels like they just went in and knocked it out. There wasn't a lot of production or finessing or anything. He could just sing, the band worked, and they were done. I think. In this case, I don't know the particulars of the recording session, but you can read the credits and see there's not a lot of instruments on it, and it just is a bare bones recording because it's all about Tom Jones and his voice. Highly recommended if you're into great singers, as everyone should be. Anyway, my name is Steve Guttenberg. This is the Audiophiliac Daily Show. Come back daily if that's possible, or just binge watch a whole bunch of them. Of course, if you binge watch my show and you watch 6 episodes that I typically do in a week, it will take you less than a half an hour to see all of them. So it's not like binge watching, you know, Game of Thrones or something. Anyway, my name is Steve Guttenberg. This is the Audiophiliac Daily Show. See you soon.